All right, we're getting ready to start our next meeting. We are.
You're good to go, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, you ready for it? Danielle?
Yes, sir.
I'm waiting for Miss Danielle. Okay. At this time, I call to order the meeting of the Jackson County Board of County Commissioners for June 21st, 2022. At this time, Ms. Wilanne Daniels is going to say a prayer, and then we will do the pledge.
Okay, let's pray. Lord, thank you that we can come together and just conduct this business publicly. And I just pray tonight that the board would use wisdom in their decision making. And God, that you would just give it a spirit of peace over this room, that we can have differences without division. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to make a statement, and it's primarily for the people that's probably online. Sometimes, you know, I've heard that people are thinking the commissioners don't know what they're voting on, but let me explain the process. On Thursday morning, I meet with the staff and we review the agenda items. And then after that, each commissioner is given an agenda packet that all of the board picks up and they read over the weekend. So when we're sitting here, things will come up that are mundane and redundant. And you may hear a commissioner make a motion before the presenter actually finishes their presentation. It's not that we don't know what we're doing. We have read the agenda. We know everything that's in it. So there's no need wasting time listening to some of our presenters who were very verbose. I just wanted to make that statement. Okay. We have the agenda in front of us. Ms. Wilanne?
Yes, sir. I have 4 additions to the agenda. Board approval to award Endeavor Phase 3, number 17 under Section 2. These are all under Section 2. Number 18 is a request for board approval of a sole source contract with ITI Digital. Number 19, request board approval of change order 2 for District 2 chip seal bond. Number 3, board approval of Resilient Florida grant application letter of support, and 1 deletion under Section 2, number 16.
Number
Chairman, I'll offer a
16.
motion to approve the agenda with the modifications as spelled out by Ms. Daniels.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Donofro, a second by Commissioner Pate. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Now, with under item, let me find it here, the one on Spring Creek, that's public.
3-1.
Yes, item 3-1. We got any people here that want to hear about Spring Creek? Okay, all right.
6:15.
Yeah, it is a public hearing.
Yeah, can't do it till 6:15.
6:15? Okay, we'll wait. Sorry about that. We got to wait another 5 minutes. Okay, Hunter Potts.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good evening.
This item is to adopt a resolution of supporting the Florida Greenways and Trail System Plan.
Got a motion by Commissioner Hill. Second by Commissioner McKinnie. Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay, all your commissioners have had a chance to review the agenda. Do you have any questions on the consent agenda items?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Got a motion by Commissioner Pate, second by Commissioner McKinnie. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Brent Melvin.
Good evening, commissioners.
Evening.
I believe the first item we had for you today was the work authorization for the CEI on the Endeavor Phase 3 infrastructure inspection. This would be in support of the plans that we'll be bringing forward later as part of that award for that construction. The total for this task work order is $96,500.
Okay, we've got a motion by Commissioner Hill. Second by Commissioner Pate. Any questions?
Yes, question, Chairman Peacock, is this, Brent, is this CEI specific to the amount of work that's going to be involved?
Yes, sir. So skipping ahead a little bit, the amount of work that we're recommending for approval tonight is approximately $2 million for the Phase 3 improvements, and this would be to inspect that work
When does the work start?
as soon as they give a notice to proceed, Commissioner.
Okay. Any more questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Daniel, Derbyshire.
Good evening.
Evening.
This item requests board approval to change the monthly TDC board meeting dates to the second Monday of the month.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Donofro. Second by Commissioner Hill. Any questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Daniel.
I got one more.
Okay, go
This
ahead.
is seeking board approval.
Wait a minute. Which one do you have next?
Number 4.
Okay,
This is for board approval of the TDC Board Chair for the fiscal year 2022 and 2023, which will be Carrie Eaton.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
got a motion by Commissioner McKinnie. Second by Commissioner Pate. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Keith Maddox.
Good evening, Commissioner.
Evening.
This requests board approval for a contract between Jackson County Fire Rescue and EMS Management Consultants. So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Hill.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Donofro. Any questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Keith.
Have another one on 6.
Okay,
This requests board approval amendment to contract 1267 with the Florida Forest Service.
the motion by Commissioner Hill. Second by Commissioner Pate. There was a change in the acreage and they said that was due to development, right?
Yes, sir. When we consulted with forestry, the development rose over time. And I think that contract dates back to the 80s. And so I'm assuming it's over that period of time.
Have they discussed anything about waiving burn fees or burning property?
No, sir. I hadn't had any conversation with them.
Okay,
We can follow up on something if you'd like.
because there is a discussion going on. I didn't know if you'd heard about it.
No, sir.
All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Daniel Warren.
Good evening.
Evening.
I got 3 items for you. The first one is requesting board approval for a state 911 grant for priority dispatch protocol software.
There's a motion by Commissioner Hill. Second by Commissioner McKinney. I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So what's the latest on Pro Phoenix?
In what regard, sir?
Is it working?
Yeah. Yeah, yes, sir. Speak to
For
it.
the sheriff's office.
What exactly?
Are y'all using Pro Phoenix?
We are.
Because there was a big discussion about it during the last budget and there were some problems. What, other than the sheriff's department, what about the fire department and others? Or they use it?
They do.
Okay.
We've had a successful year since last time we talked. We work with our vendors. Right now, we feel confident that it's working pretty good.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't know that that is exactly accurate, but we can talk about that later.
Okay. I know.
I mean, I'm not denying that that's what they may think, but from our perspective, I do think there's some additional conversations we need to have on that.
All right, well, let's pursue it between now and budget.
Question real quick, Wade, and one of you two, you can probably answer this. It says accredited with the International Academies of Emergency Dispatch. What does that actually do for us?
Well, it gives you kind of a feather in the hat. It's just an
Does it help with
accreditation.
grants or?
Law enforcement accreditation is kind of the standard that everybody strives to achieve.
Kind of puts you in that elite category.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, second item is the actual.
What-
contract.
what-
I'm sorry.
No, we have not voted. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Now go ahead, Daniel.
And the next one is the actual contract for the priority dispatch protocols.
Got a motion by Commissioner Pate, second by Commissioner Hill. Questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Last item is a state grant for recorder software at JCSO and TDC.
Got a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Donofro. Any questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jeffrey Register.
6:15, Chairman.
Pardon?
6:15.
Okay. Jeffrey, what about holding on a minute? Because you gotta stay here the whole night.
I know. I thought I could get part of it that way.
Was a shot.
Okay, we're going to go into public hearing, and at that point, we will take up the ordinance for Spring Creek. Let's see where that is.
295.
Yeah, 295. Okay, we're in public hearing. We're going to take up the ordinance that is being proposed by Mr. Rhett Daniels. Rhett, go ahead.
Yes, sir. So tonight I'm here to request adoption of amendment to Jackson County Ordinance number 70-1.1 related to Code of Ordinances for Spring Creek in Jackson County. I'll read the title. Or Michelle, do you want to read it?
It doesn't matter.
I'll let you.
An ordinance of the Board of County Commissioners of Jackson County, Florida, amending Article 1, Section 70 of the Jackson County Code of Ordinances to clarify restrictions on disposable containers in Spring Creek, providing for exemptions for disposable containers maintained in motorboats, providing for compliance by businesses and persons engaged in providing flotation devices for use in Spring Creek, providing for severability, providing for repealer, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, is there anyone here in the room that wants to speak for or against this ordinance? Is there anyone here? I see a hand in the, okay. Come on up. State your name for the record. Yes, sir. You got 3 minutes. Once you start.
Good evening, Commissioner.
Evening. State your name.
My name is Danny Melvin. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to speak tonight. I started appearing before the board about 20 years ago on what could be done to decrease the trash in Spring Creek and the Chipola River. Since that time, the board has passed some ordinances such as abandoned styrofoam, glass containers, and I believe both of those ordinances have helped with reducing the amount of glass and styrofoam discarded in the creek. I totally understand that the proposed ordinances would be an inconvenience to local businesses and the community of floaters on the river, but the amount of trash on Spring Creek has only grown since the board began considering solution to the trash problem on the creek approximately 20 years ago. As a community, we have been putting together a couple of yearly cleanups for the past several years. Last fall, we received approximately 1,000+ pounds of garbage from the creek and the river, and there's probably that much more that's missed each time. Just this last week, several from the community gathered up and we picked up the trash that you see in those photos. In the past years, that's just 2 years of example. We've been doing this a long time, folks. This is a fact that are very few counties in the state and surrounding states that have the privilege of being home to spring-fed waterways like Spring Creek. And there's nothing pristine about Spring Creek anymore. Hurricane Michael destroyed all the beauty above the ground, and litter under the water has taken place for many years. Some 250,000+ people enjoy floating and swimming Spring Creek every year. If 10% of those individuals lost or discarded one disposable container, that is approximately 25,000 pieces of garbage that is left in our waterways that end up on the bottom, on the banks of Spring Creek and on the Chipola River. Once it's on the bottom of the Chipola River, you don't go along and just pick it up. It's there forever. Local governments that have these waterways in their counties have enacted ordinances because they knew that being able to offer visitors what is viewed as pristine waterways, it was going to take rules, policies that would cause the community an inconvenience. But ultimately, this will be the only way to save what we have for future visitors to our area. We need to do the same. Please pass this ordinance so that future generations of Jackson Countyans will be able to enjoy the beauty that many of us take for granted. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room that wants to speak for or against? Yes, ma'am. Come up. State your name for the record. You got 3 minutes.
I'm close. Patricia Stewart.
Pull the mic closer to your mouth.
I'm still too short. Patricia
We
Stewart.
have others that way.
Good. I don't feel alone. Can you hear me yet?
I got you now. Go ahead.
Okay. With this new ordinance, I go down the creek quite often. I know about the trash and problem with everything's being said, but I do know I go down it and there isn't a whole bunch of trash like what is being reported. Go down it on Mondays to clean up, especially after big holidays, to make sure. I know that there's people that do give out trash bags for the trash. There is a lot of trash that is getting from the water running. It comes up, you see a lot of bottles and everything. There's down there at Turner's Landing where a lot of people hang out. They let their trash flow. Some people come down the creek and just let their floats pop and just leave them and let them float on down. I had seen, I think in Calhoun County, where they had some type of, where volunteers would go down and clean it up. I think with just normal people like me, trying to take their family, their great-grandchildren, their grandchildren down the creek, just to have a good cool off time, having to come up with non-disposable cups. I mean, we just like little juice boxes, as long as we pick up our trash, you know, or if you put in just Tupperware containers, well, then all you're going to end up with is the Tupperware containers floating on the top of the water and the bottom of the water, gathering up more of that soup and the seaweed and all of that comes over across from the mill pond. So I think that if everybody would work together and try to clean it up and work at it instead of trying to dismiss a whole bunch of, I don't know, it can be worked on. And it's not as bad as what it is being said that it is, because I was just down the creek Monday, cleaning up the creek. There was not a whole bunch of trash down on the creek. And I know that there are people that come from out of town to clean up the creek. We have local people come down to help clean up the creek. That it's for poor people that have got families and trying to have a good time with the kids. It's the cheapest route for us to go. And if you take it, then you take a lot of us with it, because we can't go. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your service in going and cleaning up. We appreciate it. Is there anyone else? Yes, ma'am. State your name for the record, please.
My name is Rhonda Mears, and I have property down on Chipola. And we've owned this property for 40, 50 years, my family. We've always went down. Every time I'm here, we go pick up garbage. It's crazy. And the amount of people that are coming down. But I'm from Marion County, and our springs there, Juniper, Rainbow, there's an ordinance that you only have, you know, things that you want to take home, like the ordinance you're doing. And we don't have the garbage problem there, but there's also somebody there checking it too. We don't have the problem that we have here. I couldn't go to the cleanup Saturday, but I was out there Wednesday and Thursday with my grandchildren, and we cleaned up 5 garbage bags of 2 adults and 1 child.
Mhm.
It's crazy the amount of garbage that is there. It's sad, and we are going to lose this if we don't take care of it. And
The same people that float the creek and throw it in are the ones that probably throw it on our roads.
could be, I pick up that too off my road up there. I get it, but something has to be done. And I go up there a lot. I saw this lady here with her grandchildren because I was there with my grandchildren the same day. I take a big garbage bag and I never go without 2 or 3. And all my live wells in the boat are all filled up with garbage. But I take a garbage bag and I ask people, you want to put your garbage in? They want to put it in because they don't want to have to go back. And if they're floating where they're going, not into Bear Paw, they don't want to have to go up and deal with the cops on the weekends that are there, which I appreciate y'all there, because I get it. It can be a real issue there. There's so many people. I stay off of it on the weekends unless I go out in the late afternoon to pick up garbage. That's it. So please, we need to do something.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate your service in picking up garbage. Anyone else? For or against? Just state your name for the record, please. I'm sorry, what?
Lance Burdishaw,
Lift the mic up. You're a tall boy.
Lance Burdishaw.
Okay.
10 a.m. I put in my boat this morning. Had my family, had my friends. Pulled off out of the river about 5 o'clock this afternoon. I got 2.5 bags trashed. We spent Monday, most of these people in this room spent Monday, yesterday, picking up trash, 5-6 hours. We're not going up there and enjoying ourselves anymore. We're going up there just to pick up trash, just to pick up trash. My kids can't enjoy it because they're picking up trash. If you're not going to pass this ordinance, do something. Hold somebody accountable for something, because we're almost sick and tired of pulling up all this trash. It's every day that we go down there, we're picking up trash. People are coming in, throwing their crap out. Nobody's doing anything. Hold somebody accountable. That's all we're asking.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room that's for or against? Okay, we have one more. Fred, do you have any hands waving?
Not yet.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Garrett Williams. I just wanted to say that it's not just the trash that's floating down the river. I do a lot of fishing on the river. I can't even go to the river on the weekends at all to fish. People are floating up and down the tubes. They're almost as bad as the trash that's in the water. I mean, you go by them, you get flicked off, get cussed at. They're not even local Jackson County people. They're coming from Tallahassee, wherever, on spring break. And I just want to say that it ain't even just the trash they're picking up, is you can't even go enjoy it, and they're throwing trash in the water. So I just want to let y'all know, you need to do something if you can.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
We
y'all.
Appreciate it. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Come up.
Casey Bigelow. Good afternoon. I know several of you here in the room. I as well have spent, I think my first boat was when I was 14 or 15. I don't even believe I could legally drive at the Bear Paw or Magnolia and put it in, but that's how long we've been doing it. I go to Mexico and South America every now and then on cruises with the family, and I've been to a lot of beautiful spots, but that creek is equal or better than any of it. And a little bit of history. Back when I was 14, 15, 16 growing up, there would be the game warden, and they'd come up and they'd anchor down beside you at Spring Creek, and they'd sit there all day and write tickets. There is a littering statute. There hadn't been a whole lot of enforcement since those out and renewed and Arnett retired. They're the guys that came up there and did it. I believe they love the creek just like all of us do. So there's a problem with enforcement of what we can enforce now. And of course, no amount of enforcement will keep the cans and bottles out. I've seen it for 15 years. They'll, the tubers have a cooler and they throw their cans, and hopefully they land around. Some of them sink, some of them float down. We pick them up. It's just an ongoing problem. And will this fix it? I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't even read the full version of the ordinance. I spoke with Red a while back, and he told me he was still working on it, the Rainbow Rivers. And I've known Red, I think my place in Dellwood, I seen him driving a tractor by him. He couldn't have been 4 or 5 years old. So if Mr. Red's in support of it, and they plan on voting today.
There will be later on.
Okay.
There'll be more discussion and probably a vote.
Yes, sir. And I know there's a portion of it that I heard when it was read about Bear Paw or holding Bear Paw accountable. if for some reason there's some problems with that forced snow, and I'm sure that's something that can be worked on, it could be amended, we could do something on it. But I just want the commission to really think about what the words that have been said here today. And the young lady, I'm just going to have to agree to disagree with her. She said they didn't find very much trash on, what was it, Monday or Tuesday? Because we had a cleanup on Saturday, and, we cleaned up. There's probably, I think somebody said they were going to bring a trailer out here with it on, but maybe they didn't do that. But anyway, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Fred, do you have any hands waving? And I'm not crazy when I say that.
If anybody would like to raise their hand to speak for or against this, they may use *9 or the raise hand feature on Zoom. I've got no hands up.
I'm sorry, Fred, did you say something?
I've got no hands up.
Okay, we have one more inside the room.
My name is Colby Smith. I'm married into this family. I've been going on the river for years with them. You see the steady decrease of, trash in the rivers due to mainly my father-in-law. He stays on it probably 300 days a year, honestly. I mean, all season, during the season, he's a stickler for cleaning this up. I just don't really get how, if Spring Creek at the ramp where they put in these, if it's a county park, how is alcohol not let into Blue Springs, all these other parks, but it's okay there? What if somebody gets injured from alcohol in that park? Anybody held liable? Is the county held liable for any of that? I mean, that's just things I'm just kind of thinking of in my head. If somebody were to fall, get injured, have glass, there's already an ordinance against having there. Somebody cuts a kid swimming with their parents at a place that the only place they can go to get into because it's free. This kid jumps in, cuts his foot. That may be a lifelong injury. That kid may never walk again correctly. I mean, as a county, we got to look at these things as, is it something that we can be held liable for? With the enforcement, should we put, they're doing a great job. Just the sheriff's department's been there the first 2 years I was there. I don't think there was any law enforcement activity at any of the places. They've done an amazing job. They got guys there. They're being respected. No fights and nothing. I mean, I'm sure you're gonna have some drunk people. It's just a part of it, but they're doing a great job. And my father-in-law does a great job. Danny Melvin, he stays on it, keeps it clean. There's a lot of others in this place that do too. But just like the lady said, the juice boxes. How many juice boxes have y'all collected that you've drank over the years?
They didn't have them when I grew up.
I mean, anything. Do you remember collecting into your trash as a kid? Was it a hobby? Was it something y'all did?
We didn't throw it out.
Exactly. But it's getting to that point, these kids that are growing up, they're taught to do that. And if we continue to allow these kids to do that, it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. When they're seeing their parents come out there and just dump trash out, oh, somebody pick that up. That's something we got to work on. Is this ordinance probably the best? Maybe not. But we have to start somewhere. We have to put something in place or it's going to be bad. I'm not a public speaker. I'm nervous as I'll get at you. I'll tell you, but it's on my heart. I love this river. Probably not as much as he does, but I'm on it a lot. I'll tell you, if it ain't during the daytime, it's at night. And I do my best to clean this place up as best as possible. I'm not leaving this county. I'm living here all my life. And I want this place, I want my kids to enjoy it. I want my grandkids to enjoy this place. I want it to be a family-friendly atmosphere on this creek. You can't take kids there. You have to get off by 11 o'clock. And I'm not worried about that. It's going to be everywhere. But the main thing we're teaching these kids, they're seeing this. People littering, and they're going to become accustomed to that. They're going to think it's okay. And it's not okay. This is a natural resource. A lot of people fish. A lot of people feed their families off this.
It's 3 minutes.
They do that. So
Thank you,
I want
sir.
to thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Jordan Smith. I definitely didn't plan on talking tonight, so I hope I can get these thoughts out here. That's my dad, Danny Melvin. I grew up on that river, and I can remember coming in here. Sorry, I'm getting nervous. I remember coming in here as a little girl and seeing Miss Sheila Hayes bring a bag of trash in probably 15 years ago. It's not a new problem. I remember that as a little girl. He's been fighting for this my whole life. I grew up on that river, and now I have 2 kids plus 2-year-old twin toddlers. I would like to give them the same childhood that I had, but I want them to be able to go to the river and say, this is beautiful. There's nowhere better than this. But it's hard to see that when you see nothing but trash everywhere. I was out there yesterday with my stepdaughter swimming, looking for shark's teeth, and pulled up a huge broken piece of glass. That would have ruined our day if somebody was stepped on it. Will it be inconvenient for some people to get non-disposable containers? Probably. But will it be worth it? Absolutely. I mean, that's just an extra step that you can take to preserve our waterways. I mean, why wouldn't you? That's my question. Why wouldn't you? And so I would like to say that I appreciate the efforts that have been made because, like I said, I've been seeing my dad fight for this my entire life. And this is a step in the right direction. And so I appreciate that. And I would really strongly urge you to consider doing your part in helping keep our waterways beautiful so that we can continue to enjoy it and the next generations can continue to enjoy it.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Okay, we're out of public hearing. Commissioners, any questions?
I'll just make a comment. I'm like a lot of people in the audience. I've spent a lot of time on the river, especially from Yancey River, Yancey Bridge, all the way down to actually Peacock's Landing. And to me, what's eye-opening is from Spring Creek, from the mouth of the creek, as we call it, north of the Yancey, there's not a whole lot of trash. But during the summer, during the times when the Bear Paw is operating, from the mouth of the creek down, it's just a totally different environment because of the amount of trash. So, I'm not sure. I have a little bit of a concern with one portion of this ordinance, and I'm not quite sure how it is. I mean, how it's going to be enforced or what it actually means. But it says providing for compliance by businesses and persons engaged in providing flotation devices for use on Spring Creek. Michelle, what is that?
297,
I mean,
page 297, about the second paragraph from the bottom.
If the business is engaged in utilizing this public resource for their profit, we're going to hold them accountable for ensuring that these regulations are met.
So as far as the realistic,
If they're
impact of
physically
that,
putting people into the water at Spring Creek, they're going to be expected to inspect whatever they are putting in the water that they're making money
we're
from.
gonna ask them to enforce that.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I'm like Commissioner Donofro. I got a problem with that, big time. In fact, I could not support that at all because the only one we have down there, I guess, is Bear Paw, right? That goes and puts people in. But if I know I'm going on a floating trip, me and a bunch of my friends are going to go float the creek tomorrow. This afternoon, about this time, I'd take me a case of beer and I'd go down the creek when there was nobody there and I'd hide it. Now, I'd go to Bear Paw and I'd get put in. Now what happens? I'm not going to admit that I did that. So now what?
I think to your point, Jim, is that I think that the question would be, the mass majority of people that's doing this destruction is not from here. So they wouldn't have the opportunity you would have as a local person. I don't think anybody don't drive from Tallahassee, sneak over here Friday night.
The
Well,
kids in college,
I'm just saying overall. I don't
there's
think-
ways to get around it. I'm afraid that we're setting ourselves up by having that in there to create problems where the county is going to be sued. And I don't know that we could, I'd have to see the case law says that we could hold them responsible for it.
I just don't know that we ought to be asking the business to enforce that ordinance. I think that ought to be up to the sheriffs, and I think that, as Colby said, I think that they've done a pretty good job of enforcing it.
But this particular business is putting people in on private property.
No, they have their property. It's their property.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So the
that goes
sheriff,
in, which is into the middle of the
the
creek.
sheriff can't sit on the other side and inspect those folks. So we have to put the expectation on that business that if you're going to use this public resource for your profit, you also have to follow the rules. And
I'm not opposed to them following the rules, but I am opposed to $500 fine for each time you catch somebody.
well,
how do we get around that?
But you gotta have some kind of.
Wait a minute. You will have to come back up to the podium. Let me recognize you. We're having a discussion right now. Go ahead, Mr. Hill.
Are you wanting to adjust the fine?
I'm not in favor of the fine at all. I think maybe there needs to be another way to address the issue. But how do we do it? That's what I'm asking you.
Fine for the business or fine for the person?
The person. I can live with the person, but I'm thinking that there's going to be a lot of issues when you try to go find Bear Paw for somebody having a can of beer.
Yeah, and I also have a little bit of a problem with the vagueness of that, because when I read it, I'm thinking, okay, what about people that go to Walmart and buy a float? They're being provided floating devices. We certainly aren't going to try to hold Walmart accountable.
No,
I mean, that's what it says. It says engaged in providing flotation devices for use in Spring Creek.
I mean, the intention is to address not only that particular business, but if you have, and I don't know if it's been just at Spring Creek, but there are other businesses that are engaged in the activity of providing canoes, kayaks, those kinds of things at public boat landings. This is not a type of business that's particular to, for instance, Bear Paw. And so that was the intention, was to address if there are other businesses that at some point in the future attempt to use the county side of that entrance, that those businesses will also be held responsible.
Well, if they use the county side, then that would be filtered through the debt fee on the public property, correct? Yeah,
Yes.
but we're in the litigation on who owns the property, which is private on the west side.
But the language is written to treat both of those businesses the same. So they are personally responsible for ensuring that the people and the materials that they put into Spring Creek for profit are following these rules.
I think we're going to get in trouble. Go ahead, Mr. Pate.
My issue is the enforcement. Can we check coolers? Can we open the coolers and see what's in there?
I asked that question of her today just to make sure from a legality standpoint, correct me if I'm wrong, but you said that they can not only check our coolers, they can check the persons, every person.
Can you?
Yeah, that's what she said. She said yes.
See who?
Me?
Oh,
Is there case
I'm
law
talking
that
about law.
supports that?
Yes.
It's unreasonable search and seizure.
So,
But they also don't get to go in the creek.
can you stop them from going in the creek?
Mhm.
Well, now, I mean, I'm asking the question because who's gonna stop them? It had to be the sheriff's department.
Well, that's subject to this.
I
order,
think we
correct?
need to do something, but I think, and we're working through this process, we got to clean this ordinance up some before we move forward with it, because there's, I see some problems in my mind that we need to address. And everybody says, well, why didn't y'all do it ahead of time? Well, Florida Sunshine Law, we can't meet and talk about it. So we're having.
So I got a question on this,
discuss it
read.
here.
I've read the ordinance twice now. Effective date on this is when?
As soon as you pass
I'm
it.
not real clear on that. I believe it would be tonight. I don't know if we can set a future date. My preference would be like January 1. That'll give us time to do advertising, get signage in place and all that. But I don't know what the rule is on
Yeah,
that.
and the reason I say that, obviously, there's gonna be more trash put on in
Yeah.
the timeframe, but at the same time, it's some of the commissioners, obviously are in hesitation on it. We can have this cleaned up pretty quick, I'm sure, could we not?
I would hope we.
I mean, you can
know,
share your concern with
Yeah,
Michelle. and
I'm
we
glad
draft it.
to, but, what are disposable containers?
Anything you don't intend to take home with you.
My wife.
Wow.
He did, he said that.
Well, I mean, that's subject to interpretation.
There is a lot of discretion and interpretation in this.
But who's gonna make that discretion? Because
That's-
what I'm saying is just from a consistency standpoint, you got the gentleman that owns Bear Creek and you got a deputy. And those two interpretations
pretty much need to be spelled out really close. I mean, I'm not saying razor thin, but it needs to be to where there's no confusion. If they're not, then the person that's over here saying, well, this gentleman let me take it on, but they won't, so I just don't go over here. I'm just saying, I want it to be clear and concise, so we don't have a confusion, especially when we got a little bit of time, so.
10 years from now, the people aren't going to have the benefit of the knowledge that we have of this. That's why we got to get this thing nailed down and nailed down correctly in order to make sure that Sheriff Edenfield may still be here, but he may not be. And, all of us may have moved on. And we got to be careful in what we're doing. And that's why I have concerns about certainly the business.
When's our next board meeting?
And the
12th of July?
9th, isn't it?
12.
Is it 12th?
Yeah. I mean, we can have
But
it.
those
cleaned
are
up.
just a couple of the things.
But your intent was not for it particularly to take effect tonight, correct?
It was written that way.
Okay, well, I wasn't saying, well, this, obviously, but if it was, and I think Danny's shaking no, right? But either way, I think we have a little bit of time, I'm not talking a long time, a little bit of time to get this ironed out. And I think the definition of those said products to me need to be defined. I mean, again, I think a Yeti, I don't think anybody's gonna dispose of Yeti cooler or a Yeti cup, whatever they call it, or $30 a piece. Now, I might throw away a Tupperware thing, it's $2. But you know what I'm saying? So we need to narrow down that. I think that's gonna be some vague language, but I think that the ordinance needs to pass. I just think that we need to make it to where it's a very fair and accurate.
On page 297 of my book, one of the things that got my attention is talking about, starts off Spring Creek and then down at the end. Southwest following the natural flow of the creek and ending at the Chipola River, including but not limited to the area commonly known as Turner's Landing. Why are we stopping at the river?
Well, if it don't make it on the creek, it won't make it to the river. And that was using the ending of the previous ordinance. So I included.
Well, I've never floated that. But
Can't get to one without going through the other.
Right.
that's right. You got to go through the creek to get on the river to get down to Magnolia Bridge, right?
Take out, yeah.
Don't we need to correct that? Make it all the way? If we're going to go to this trouble, let's do it right.
Right.
Just 1 minute. But those are the things, what I was looking at.
Another issue is that we have been sued in the past by Bear Paw for our regulations, this specific ordinance as it exists today. And they dismissed that complaint. It was active for a few years. They didn't do anything with it. But one of the arguments that they made was that the Spring Creek and the Chipola were navigable waterways, and we didn't have the authority to regulate that. And I don't really want to get into the issue of whether or not the Chipola River is a navigable waterway. I think we'll lose on that point. Spring Creek was a different story.
What was the difference?
They've actually-
Shallow, or, I mean, I don't know what.
If it's high enough, you can, but most of the time it's not, right?
Well, I got one more question real quick, Rick, on this Turner's Landing, you can go up from there back to the park, or where's the Turner Landing? I don't float it because
It's just below the launch portion. It's about a quarter mile, give or take 8 miles.
okay, all right, very good.
3 bends.
Quarter
So,
mile.
but this ordinance, as I read, covers that also, correct?
Yes.
So on
You
page
can't
2,
put in except for those 2 locations.
Right.
Unless you have the permission of the private owner.
Oh, okay.
the last page. Page 4 says the county administrator is directed to procure the placement of one or more signs at or near a spot located 10 to 75 feet from the normal water's edge at Spring Creek and at Turner's Landing. So we put up our 1 or 2 signs. 2 years from now, they're gone. So what happens?
Well,
We
that-
put them up every year.
Yeah, that language,
I got a stack of signs at my warehouse.
So
Every
that's
time
why-
they
that's
call
why
and say they're
this-
gone, we put them right back up.
that language is in the ordinance now.
That's existing language, yeah.
Well,
I mean, you always don't have someone who's taking them just for vandalism's sake.
They really-
That's treat them just like road signs. I mean, they have to
Yeah.
be.
it says that the adequacy or number of the signs shall not affect the validity of this section.
That's just saying that even if we don't have a sign there, you still have to follow the rules.
It's the user's
What if I don't know the
responsibility.
rule?
Yeah, that's a
I think Commissioner Hill made a good point about the timing of this, is that there does need to be, an effective date that needs to be far enough in advance so that, people are made aware of it.
Mhm.
I think the summer obviously is upon us, and I don't know how many, I don't know the ratio, Danny, y'all may know, a lot of the, maybe Red, you also, there's a lot of people that come from FSU, if I understand it right. They come over here from the colleges, let me just say colleges over here. Is there a more peak time? Obviously, spring break is a no-brainer. And I guess families are starting to go on trips the end of May, 1st of June. But when does the lull take place? Is it back when school's in predominantly or weather shifts?
We did the same thing at Bush Springs. It was the same, it was crazy.
Well, yeah, sure.
Labor Day, after Labor Day, from my experience, everything kind of tails off a little bit.
I'll say this, Sunday, I was at Mountain Creek for about 3 hours, and there was probably, I'd say, I tried to estimate, there's probably 250 people that came down, and that's a slow day. That's a slow day.
Well, let's do that. I'll make a motion that we table this to our 12th meeting.
You gotta re-advertise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
we
we
do.
advertise,
And
whatever you want to term it.
I need more direction on
Well,
these
that's me.
definitions,
Should we
because I think the
possibly set a
definitions are
workshop,
clear.
or special
Yeah,
meeting
that'd
or
be
something
fine.
where everybody can,
Why don't we set one on the
Engage.
12th? I think both parties involved, I'm not saying for or against, but when I'm saying both parties, if y'all sit down and some of y'all want to digest this more, I know that I will, given this situation. And then we try to make a workshop for, you think an hour would be enough on the 12th of July? Yes, no?
Well, the 12th is the morning meeting, so I don't want to do it at 7 o'clock in the morning. We'd have to do it
after the meeting. We can do it.
at 1
set-
o'clock.
We can set 10:15 and just let it fade whenever it fades.
Yeah, we could do that.
So
I don't have
I'll make a motion that we set a special meeting at 10:15 on the 12th of July, which is a morning meeting. Is that going to interfere with a lot of people's work schedules? I know that's a morning meeting. If not, then you're all the way at the end of July. And then we can talk about it then, and we'll make some decisions. And again, I guess I like the covenants of it. I just think we need to just stand it up a little bit.
I'll second that motion, but I'll go on record saying that I'm definitely in favor of passing some type of ordinance. And I think this is very close. I just need to wrap my arms around this last provision, this last sentence in it, and trying to understand why that would apply to Bear Paw, and then maybe not somebody that's just somebody like Walmart that's selling a flotation device, and maybe.
Because Walmart isn't physically putting
But
their
it doesn't
hands on
say
people
that.
to put
It
them
doesn't
into
say-
the
it doesn't say
water.
that. It says providing flotation devices.
Yeah.
So I just think maybe
Okay.
some more
For
specificity.
rental.
might-
You could maybe-
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Hill
Yeah.
to,
I'll second.
and a second by Commissioner Donofro to move this to a special meeting on the 12th. We're
So-
gonna schedule it for 10:15, knowing that it'll probably move after lunch.
Okay, so you're gonna hold another public hearing that day. You'll be prepared to adopt an ordinance that day.
Well, if we can get it
That-
worked
that's what I'm
out,
asking.
we gotta get it
I'm
worked.
interpreting the special meeting as a time everybody can give input and
Right.
settle
Right.
on a final document. Then we can pick a date at that meeting to
right.
have the public meeting for the adoption.
That's
That
right.
would be my interpretation.
I
That's
think,
the way I
this- I think this board, from what I'm hearing tonight, is all for an ordinance. And we all want it clean and took care of. My issue is enforcement. And I don't know how we're gonna enforce it. You can have all the ordinances you want. We got speed limit signs out there, and
Speed
that is
bumps.
just a suggestion. And they just keep going faster. So that's my concerns with it. And we need to do something in here to.
And I concur with
Fix
you, Commissioner Pate, I concur with you as well. And also, I'd just like to thank the many volunteers that have taken time in your schedule to keep waterways clean. We thank you, that's honorable, and just ask you to continue to
Danny,
do
come on
that.
down.
Thank you.
It's been going a while. We
Danny,
know-
we'll make a
I-
comment.
Name's Danny Melvin again. Spoke with Ricky this past week, coming back down the river. He called me over, showed me what they've been working on. Picked up several canoes full of trash for the last few weeks. We've been doing this. So he and I got up there and started talking. We had a bad relationship at the beginning, but we get along now. We we talk about things. And we talked about, he said, how am I going to do this as far as if people come through my business? I can't look in every ice chest. I said, Ricky, you own the business. You're going to let me look in your ice chest or you don't come through my place. He said, you're right. You're not going to lose any bit. You're going to change your clientele of people, what you're going to do. put it in a non-disposable. He's not even been discussed with what a non-disposable container is. Nobody's talked to him. So I said, anything you're not gonna throw away. I said, Ricky, when people show up to your business with whatever they're gonna drink, juices, beer, wine, whatever, put it in a container. You get to sell the containers if you choose. That's an extra money maker for his business. That's all a positive thing. It keeps everything, all your trash stays on the bank.
And I think a lot of that, Danny's gonna have to do with how much he lets the people come in, because again,
Yes.
people that may not know this ordinance, once it's in place, there's a student or family from out of town, they hadn't read the ordinance. He needs to provide some type of advertising mechanism on his social website and say, listen, if you're not gonna throw it, keepable merchandise, because if not, it's gonna be like TCA at the airport. You got people dumping stuff into the airports. I mean, containers, because they got fingernail clippers with them, or they got some. So I'm saying that they need to educate them. If not, he's gonna be overwhelmed with trash because he don't have to throw all the stuff.
And really, and truly, he should be standing right here where I'm at. This is his livelihood, his business, and he telling these people, you don't throw this in my waterways. I've heard about all the trash for years and years, and I don't want to hear it no more. Don't put it in the water. Simple as that.
Okay,
And the other part is, and if this thing don't go by, and it passed, and I sure hope pray it does, and if this is the scary part of it, if we tell these people that we're not gonna pass this, you pretty much told everybody it's okay to put your trash in the creek. And I hope that it's not perceived that way, but people perceive that thing. But you'd be surprised at the people that already think this ordinance is passed. No, it's just been proposed. It hasn't passed yet. That they already coming down there doing this already. They've already taken the knee to the ordinance. So
well, that's good.
it's a good
but,
thing, right?
My concern is making sure we got it
It's got to be right.
airtight.
Start with-
We don't want to
Right.
put something together.
Because this is our community, our county. We
Wind
want to
up
take care of it.
being sued and people not understand.
It's almost like a
All
mini
right.
spring break. They come from all over.
Yep.
Spring break mess up Panama City. They go back home.
Yep.
You got to control it.
Yep.
All right,
Thank you for your time.
thank you. All right, I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, we'll be discussing this again on the 9th at 10:15. 12th at 10:15.
Take off work.
They don't have to vote on it.
You know,
at all.
take off work.
They don't
Vacation
have
day.
to deny it or whatever.
Right here.
No action on the.
I thought there was a motion to table it,
Well, you can't table a public hearing.
That's
I
right.
mean,
No, we have,
but they don't take action in the public hearing anyway. You closed the public hearing, right?
we're out of public
Well,
hearing
you-
and we
yeah,
have
you know what I
voted
meant.
Whatever you want.
to
it would carry over.
schedule a special meeting for it. Okay. That takes care of that. You people that are here for that, you're welcome to stay. If you want to leave, now's the time.
Thank you.
And we will be working on it.
Can we carry on with the second public hearing item and get that out of the way?
Yeah.
Before you move back to the agenda?
Yeah, we can go back in public hearing.
Just a minute, can we have a break?
No.
Earlier.
Okay. All right, we're going back into public hearing. Hunter Potts.
Hello. This is just to discuss the Florida Small Cities CDBG program for economic and community development needs. So I can kind of read a little bit about the program if you'd like, or we can let the public see if they have any comments. And they do, they have to come up here and speak as well. And
We're on
Let
public
us
hearing,
Number two.
CDBG program. Okay. Is there anyone here who wants to speak about the CDBG program? That's what Mr. Pebble White was talking about.
Do we have a copy of that letter?
I've got, Wilanne, did you make copies for everyone?
That's what's coming around.
I guess this is.
Eric, did you get a copy of this?
Yeah, we passed around.
Okay.
Everybody does that.
All right,
Well, I mean.
I'll read what Mr. Pebble White said. Okay, y'all
If
ready?
you don't read it, tell
You
them.
don't read on the record.
I can read on
That's
the-
what I said, you don't read.
I can read it right now. Yeah. All right, Mr. Pebble White presented us with a letter, and he is requesting use funding to properly pave and protect Leland Road. Number two, use funding to install high-speed internet suitable for business purposes on Leland Road. And use funding to install a storm water runoff pond to capture water runoff and prevent damages to Leland Road. Okay.
Dead end road to the interstate.
That's what,
Where at? I don't know, geographical
Highway
address.
90 between Marion and Tidwell.
Okay, okay.
all right, we're still in public hearing. Anyone for or against any of this information on the CDBG? Fred, do you have anyone
As a
online?
reminder, as a reminder to anyone online, they may use *9 or the raise hand feature on Zoom if they would like to speak for or against.
I'll just say a little bit about it if you want for the record. The county is eligible to apply for up to $750,000 in the neighborhood revitalization categories and commercial revitalization, and up to $1.5 million in the economic development category. Construction activities funded through the program must meet one of the following national objectives, such as to benefit low and moderate income persons, prevent or eliminate slum or blight conditions, or meet a need of recent origin having a particular urgency. Some type of projects that can be funded are constructing stormwater ponds, paving roads and sidewalks, installing sewer and water lines, building a community center or park, making improvements to a sewage treatment plant, and rehabilitating low-income homes. So if there's anybody that doesn't want to speak today, you can always reach out to us via email or phone call, and we can take your comments at that
Okay.
time.
All right, we're out of public hearing.
Making that decision
No,
to.
this is not,
So
we don't need to make anything.
Oh, I
This
thought
is
it was
just a
just a
discussion.
to have a public.
Yeah,
We
you
have
have
to
to
have
have
Oh,
public
okay, I thought we
hearing.
needed to adopt.
Right.
So you'll bring it back next meeting for an actual decision on what we're going to.
Okay.
So there won't be next meeting, it'll probably be sometime, maybe the first or second meeting in July, or probably the first meeting in July, I'll bring this back. And we'll have some projects for you to rank.
I mean, there's no reason not to apply. Is there any adverse?
We don't have to apply, certainly.
I mean, why would?
We will
No,
apply.
we
Yeah.
will. We
I can
still gotta
assure you.
figure out what.
We'll come
I
up
mean,
with
is
something.
Pooser Road a potential project? I mean,
Yes.
I think it could be, yes.
so staff.
So could Poplar
staff is
Springs
gonna
Road.
Come back with some recommendations. as
Well,
far as-
what Hunter's gonna do actually is he's got a list of things that you all have mentioned, just in general, that he kind of vets through if it seems to be eligible or not. But then he's gonna get that to you all. You can add any thoughts you have in your areas. He'll let you know if it's eligible or if it would be likely to be funded, because this is the one that's associated with the LMI area. And then at the next meeting, you all can work through which thing you want to identify as the priority.
Okay,
And once we bring it back, they'll have a ranking for us, for point system, right?
Well, that's up to y'all how you decide what you choose, but
Everything in
hopefully we'll
District
have some
5.
information on what we think would be the most likely to be funded.
That would be critical information to have. for sure.
okay. We're going back to item 10 under section 2. Jeffrey Register.
Good evening.
Good evening, Jeffrey.
All right, number 10 is requesting board approval to purchase milled asphalt.
So
So
moved.
move.
Got a motion by Commissioner Pate, second by Commissioner McKinnie. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Next one's yours also.
Quick question on that. This says for a full day, use of county trucks for a full day. Is that, I mean, talking to Anderson Columbia, I thought it might take 2 days for them to do that.
It is,
It already
it's a
has.
2-day, it's a 2-day thing, but
So, I mean, is that gonna be a problem?
no, sir. No, sir.
All right, the next one's yours, Jeffrey.
The next one is board approval of work authorization, number 5 to Gettler and Gettler to restrap Gardenview Road.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Pate,
Second.
second by Commissioner McKinney. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. You got off easy. All right, go ahead, Hunter.
Okay, this is a board discussion and consideration to award a contract number 2122-14 for the Endeavor Warehouse Roof Replacement Project.
Did you ever, and I haven't done it yet, but did you ever talk to the low bid contractor about changing from a 22 gauge panel to a 24 gauge to see if there was any cost savings associated with that?
Yeah, so they didn't say there's gonna be much of a cost savings to that, and it's not what it was spec'd. So if we did want to change that, we'd have to rebid the project.
It's not necessarily true. I mean, you could ask, it could be part of the value engineering process.
Paul, did you come up with the price on that single ply that you,
I had not. I just know that this cost is a lot more expensive than the single ply. That was not.
If you
bid
do,
out.
it's my understanding, if you do change the type of roof to maybe a thinner material, you're gonna get a less of a warranty, which is what some people were concerned about initially bidding the project.
You can get a 20-year or 25-year no dollar limit warranty with single ply, but that would be a totally different type of system, and that would require rebidding. I just was concerned about the overall cost and the fact that Kent was usually, I won't say that, but we only had 2 bidders, which was a little bit surprising.
We had 4, I believe.
Yeah, there's 4 left. Page 261.
all right. What's the pleasure of the board?
You need to know where you're gonna pay for this from.
So I kind of put 3 options there that we could potentially do. And then, like you said, too, if you do choose an option, we need to know where the funds are going to come from.
Okay. We do have someone that's interested in putting a business in that warehouse. So when we do have a letter of intent. As soon as we can get it fixed, it's ready to go. I think we'll have to use some of the funds that we've got. American Rescue.
What's the lease amount? 18,600 per year?
That's based off the MOU for project sweetness. That's the amount that they would have agreed to pay if we do fix the roof per square foot.
So even over 10 years, we won't pay for that roof replacement.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? Somebody say something.
Danielle, of course, ARPA funds, we have ARPA funds cover this.
Yeah. But you did make a motion to split them.
How much CARES Act do we have left?
I do not think enough to cover this because I just got a huge invoice for the decontamination unit that wasn't in the balance that Karlyn gave me. So, you approved it in December. It's $138,000. I think it was 138. somewhere
For
around
where?
about shooting. For the fire rescue department. It was approved, but it had been outstanding and she didn't remember to include that.
So how much you think's left? If you gotta get
Not enough to do that.
how much? 50% of it, half of it? I mean, I don't.
I'll be glad to give you that information.
Yeah.
If you want to pause me,
Yeah,
you go look.
Can we, oh no.
No, we don't need to do
How
that.
critical is we make a decision? I know I dropped the ball on trying to check. I really am interested to see if a single ply roof would be a more economical, viable approach to it. Because I think it would come in a lot less expensive, but I'm not familiar enough with the existing roof deck to know whether that's even viable. It's
Right.
over a Tectum deck, is it not?
Right.
How many square feet?
So some of their prices they put in their bid response, like good for 60 days. I think one may have said 90 days.
Is that on this page?
I don't know if it's on that page. I know it's on
It
there.
is.
But we-
So everybody but
Bid.
Acme, who is not the lowest or the next to lowest, gave you 60 days
Which we're,
or more.
Getting pretty close to.
yeah, we're almost there.
Because we pushed it off one time before.
We opened on 5.5.
I just know that a single ply roof, if it's a viable approach, would be a lot less expensive and it may not be quite as good as a standing seam, but I think we would at least not be in the hole.
So I'm happy to do whatever you guys suggest from this point, but we're taking it as far as we can take it now. All right. No comment?
Where we got the money?
Well, we do have the the American Rescue Fund that we'd all probably have to chip in to make it work. Take the rest of the CARES money and use some of the rescue plan money. Some of it is for economic
Let me
development.
ask this one question. How, the company that's planning on leasing this, is it a time critical decision for them? I mean,
They are looking for a place.
How much are they paying a year for that?
I don't know.
I didn't know if we could repay that.
They're from Donnie Red's country down there, Liberty County. And they are
9,300
actively
square feet.
looking.
9,300 square feet, 18,000 a year.
Yeah. But anyway, I can't make a motion.
Well,
I can
still
pass the
unclear.
gavel.
Still unclear. So you were saying the CARES Act and
Some of,
each
we'd all
commissioner-
have to divvy up some of
Let
the
me
American
ask this,
Rescue.
Is it crucial enough that what couldn't wait to July the 12th if we can find out there may be a savings of,
Right.
I mean, I don't know, I'm just asking. And Paul institutionally would say there may be a savings if you downgrade the gauge on it, then just ask them to rebid it with the.
And even maybe going to a whole different system altogether, a single ply system instead of a metal roof.
Yeah, whatever,
That
I
would be
mean.
a lot
We
less
still got
expensive.
the issue of where we're gonna pay for it, but it might be.
I mean, standing seam.
By the time you get through all of that, you're past budget.
It'll be easier to figure that out if it's $100,000 less.
Yeah.
And I don't know that that's the deal, but I'm just saying if it's a less.
I mean, are we paying for them to remove the old one? I'm assuming that's in this cost analysis. Because
There's
most
not
of-
much of it left.
Not all of it. There's like an existing deck there. They would keep that. But they removed the old roofing material because it's like half blown off, I believe, is what.
So
They only had to replace one
technically
piece
that
of tin.
would go away and they'd be putting this metal right over the bar joist, so it'd be spanning from bar joist to bar joist as a structural.
I think the deck is intact.
I think we owe it to ourselves and to find out. I'll make a motion that
Yeah.
we table this, let Paul have some time.
Yeah.
Second.
All right, got a motion to table and a second by Commissioner Pate. Any more discussion?
You do table.
Paul, you're gonna get
I
us an
promise
answer.
this time I will check into
All
it.
right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. We're tabling.
What were you saying, honey?
You had a
He was gonna say your bids expire before then, but it's a week. If they
I'll
want
have
to
to rebid
continue
it
the
anyway.
project, they'll give you a week.
All right,
Yeah, the next one is also a discussion item for consideration of the Pooser Road Housing RFP, which is 21-12-10. So the
Okay.
proposals were ranked and Valiant Enterprises was the highest ranked proposal.
Make a motion to accept.
got a motion by Commissioner Hill,
Second.
second by Commissioner Pate. Any questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. We do have Mr. Donnie Red here with Valiant Enterprises. Mr. Red, before you get out too far, we need to establish a time with Ms. Wilanne where we can get together and start working out the details of this contract. There were some questions I think the board had, and I will sit down with you along with Ms. Wilanne and the attorney and see can we work this out. All right? All right, any questions? Moving on.
I do have, Mr. Red, you have just a word first, Mr. Red.
Donnie, come up for a minute.
Just a real quick question, just on kicks and vehicles. I gotta ask you one. I'll ask you while you walk in, your proposal again, if I just want to make sure I'm on the record saying that y'all included paving Pooser Road in this entirety, correct?
We've got Clint that was here the last time, the attorney that pulled the whole proposal together. We have a meeting tomorrow morning at 8:30 to move, we scheduled it in the hopes that we were awarded for tomorrow morning, and we're going through all of that one more time.
But he initially said on the record it was.
Yes.
Because I make some decisions based upon that with some other.
But he was talking about using the
CDBG.
grant
Yes.
to do that.
Is there a hiccup with that?
I don't know. It was the last one we had.
We can apply.
Oh, it's an application. All right, it's an application.
That's what we just talked about. That was the CDB that we just were discussing just a minute ago.
Paul brought up Pooser
Is
Road.
that right? CD, did I say the right thing? Whatever we had like Compass Lake. Where everybody.
No,
not MS.
Oh, what?
He's talking about a special taxing district.
That is what that is.
No, the CDBGs are grants.
CDBG.
I got
is a
you, I
grant.
got you, I got
Too
you.
many acronyms.
Two things.
We're having two different conversations.
they are.
CDBG would be a grant that could pave the road. The MSTU is a special taxing
That's what he
district that would
said, I
fund
thought.
the
He did.
entire development.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was right.
Yeah, so my
Those are the type of things we got to. work through.
That's the detail we've got to work. And
Well,
I don't have the expertise to
Right.
discuss that.
Well, I'll need an answer, and I'm sure his board does too pretty soon, because during budget time, we're making decisions about that road and other things, but I was basing some of the decisions I made in the past based upon that statement that he made. So, and y'all now awarded to it. So.
Yes. So we're anxious to move forward with the discussions with Wilanne and Mr. Peacock. And our discussions will commence tomorrow morning at 8:30 in preparation to get with them, and we'll iron out every detail. Clint will be, our Clint. will be involved in those discussions and making sure that we iron out every question that you guys have moving forward. We're anxious to get started.
Well, we will meet, we'll work out the details, we'll bring them back to the board.
July 12th.
Get the, we might have it ready, but
We will.
well, but we may not. We'll work on it. Thank you, Donnie.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Looking forward to it.
Hunter.
This is a request to adopt a budget schedule for this upcoming cycle. And just want to point out that on the Tuesday, September 13th, that will be typically that's a morning meeting, but that would be suggested as a night meeting. So 5:30 meeting there.
Which day?
Tuesday, it's September 19th.
Almost got a three
Yeah,
aspect.
I got 3 asterisks there.
My only concern is just this, I mean, historically, besides last year, we meet 4 days a week for 3 weeks. Except Friday. And now we don't do 2 days a week. So either we don't have to do it a lot faster, longer day, because we usually stay, what, 6 hours, 9 to 3 and
All
4.
day.
And of course, we take an hour plus lunch. My only concern is again, we got time any that we had to have this done by. Are we gonna be able to do this in 2 days? I mean, I thought we struggled when we were doing it 4 days a week.
I'll answer that, Mr. Chairman. So last year we did do 3 weeks, but in the end, we just ended up coming back at the end of August to finish it anyway. And so the thought is a couple things. One, reducing down on the front end gives staff time in between those days to actually implement changes, do the other jobs they have to attend to. Because what happens is 3 weeks of work for Danielle, for instance, gets piled up while we're in here. But the main thing is that carry forward number is always what we're waiting on. So if we can get what we need to get done on these 4 days earlier in the month and set the proposed millage on that second Wednesday, then you all can set additional dates at the end of August to finish up with the carry forward number and those sort of things.
When do we have to have it done, Danielle?
You, by this calendar, you
Turn it
have
in.
to have your first public hearing by 9/13. You need to have your second public hearing by 9/27 to make this work. And then it all has to be done by 10/19 based on that calendar. I mean, so once you set these dates, that lets the municipalities know when they can have their meeting. So the dates that are bolded, I cannot change. I do not need to change.
But we can add additional budget workshops as
In
needed.
between, yes,
Mhm.
yes.
So we can add dates.
You can add dates, but you can't change these bolded ones that I have set forth in front of you. It won't
I
work.
knew there was time frames we had to.
And like the
sequence
one
we had
that
to
says
do.
Monday, 10/10, value adjustment board meeting, and Tuesday, 10/11. Those are dates that the property appraiser gives me. We don't know today how many petitions you're gonna get. The
Yeah.
last day to get petitions is September the 9th. We will know well in advance if we need to change our first meeting in October, which is the 11th. Prior to when we get there.
So in September, you'll know by the first meeting in September, how many petitions we got and about how long we think it will take.
Well, I'm just concerned about, I'm kind of like Commissioner Hill, I'm concerned that we're going to be under the gun at the very end.
Now, you said
Trying
you
to
sent a
get-
letter out that now all constitutionals will have an 8% decrease. or
No,
To cut it.
it didn't go out.
No, I did send out an email that said we're going to be in very hard times. Please get creative with your budgets, but I did not say a specific percentage.
I just didn't know if we don't have to allocate time because we'll go back and forth, of course, they have to do their budgets and make sure that they.
So again, we can add time, like in that second Wednesday, if we get to it, we say, we think we should go ahead and continue, and y'all want to set more dates, you can. But we would like to start with this, see how it goes, and then add them based on
How
where
much
we are.
notice do we have to add?
Just a reasonable amount of notice. There's not a specific.
24 hours? Well, I
Yeah.
see us using a lot of time this year. We're gonna have to do a lot of
To
cutting.
really do our homework and try to limit the amount of time that we have to spend asking questions.
Okay. Any comments? Yeah. Where's the
So
money?
it's gonna be, where's the money the whole time?
All right,
That's the big question.
do I hear something?
Oh, you need a motion to accept the calendar?
Yes,
So moved.
or reject? Got a motion by Commissioner Pate, second by Commissioner Donofro to accept the proposed dates, knowing that we can add more if we need them. Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Ms. Wilanne?
Yes, sir. This is a request for board approval of a contract between the Board of County Commissioners and Karlyn Tidwell for consulting services for fiscal year 22-23 budget development. This contract will go through October 31st, 2022, with a not to exceed amount of $14,999. Don't anticipate to need that. That was just to keep under the bidding threshold, and also just to give us a limit. And this will be to train Sarah and her, to finish training Sarah and Hunter through the entirety of the budget process.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion by Commissioner McKinnie,
Second.
second by Commissioner Donofro. Are there any questions?
And this will end October 1st.
31st.
It's just the budget.
That's right.
Okay. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. All those against, 1. 4-1. Ms. Wilanne?
That was deleted. You can go to number 17.
Pardon?
Number
Scratched
16
it.
was deleted.
That's right. Hang on a second, let me get, Brent Melvin.
Good evening again.
Evening.
What you have in your packets, Commissioner, is for the Endeavor Phase 3 project. If you recall, back in April, bids were received for the infrastructure improvements for Endeavor Phase 3 that'll be part of the Jobs Growth Grant. This project was extensively advertised in the newspaper and out in the community, and a pre-bid conference was conducted with numerous participants. We only received one bid from Southeastern Construction Company in the total amount of approximately $6.5 million. The project was bid out with 8 different parts, which encompassed a lot of the different scopes of work that are still remaining in that, to see what the prices came back, and then to give the commission the opportunity to further refine what you all would like to do. On May 10th, there was a workshop meeting that was held with the commission to go over the priorities and the fundings that were there. Currently, it's estimated that the job growth grant, the budget that's remaining for these funds, is a little over $2 million, $2,010,000. And these funds have to be expended by May 2023. And so what you have presented today is based on the recommendations and the discussions at the workshop meeting of revising the scope of work for Southeastern Contracting to a total amount of $2,002,650. And that work primarily would consist of paving Scott Drive, Endeavor Boulevard, a lighting project along Scott Drive and Endeavor Boulevard, as well as water and sewer work within those paved areas.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Danielle.
Was there any issues with DEO on there only being one grant? I mean, one response to the bid. Are we good to go, or do we need to get any special clearance? You know?
As far as I understand, that's fine with the sole source, since it was advertised and everything was properly done. So,
Can we get them to document that for us?
yes, yeah, I'll coordinate with Rick and our folks in the office.
I
on
meant
that
to
grant.
ask that.
Yeah. No problem. Yeah, we'll
So,
get
so
that.
the motion tonight for 2,000,000.
2,000,000.
2,650.
That's on the grant, correct?
Yes, sir, and that's
That's
covered
okay.
underneath the job growth grant,
Job growth
and those
grant.
funds have to
Got a
be
motion?
expended by May 2020.
Got a motion by Commissioner Hill,
Second.
second by Commissioner Donofro with question.
And I think I can see it right here now, but basically, all underground conduit necessary for lighting and any other electrical will be installed under those paving portions, so that we'll have conduit in place.
Yes, sir. So yeah, for future stub outs, essentially, we're
Same
taking
thing
care of
with
everything
sewer and
underneath the
water.
pave. Yes, sir. And then in the paved areas is where the sewer and the water new installation will be done. And those are primarily on Scott Drive and Endeavor Boulevard.
So how much of this job growth grant has been used on the Mashburn Road side?
So I may, on the Mashburn Road side, and I would need to check this, these are the notes that I've got, is it looks like approximately, is it 200,000?
He had it slotted, but I thought the
Yeah.
city got some additional funding.
They
and
did.
We didn't need that in.
Right, and so, yeah, I think that reverted back to the other one as part of the second roof grant. So,
Okay.
so
was
I
just
think that was
wondering.
what was originally committed, but it actually didn't end up needing to be
Because we've done
expended.
a lot of cleanup over there that, it looks good. But I was just wondering if we use that money to clean up when we should have been doing it on the other side.
So my understanding with that is that the additional funds that were used there was all part of the second RIF award that just happened this last cycle. And so there wasn't any money, I guess, from the job growth grant that was
Okay.
actually used.
I
It was just a
wondering, we don't
stopgap.
ask, we don't know.
Yeah.
All right,
Just a real quick question, I mean, you feel, and your company feels that the amount of work that we're getting for $2 million is a fairly reasonable price for the work that we're doing in today's market, I guess?
Yes, sir, in today's market, and the responsive contractor is the one that is working on Mashburn Road. And to date, they've done a good job on that one and worked well, so we didn't have any reservations as far as recommending them, the award to them for this amount.
They cleaned it up so good that now you can see the backs of all them buildings over there.
all right. We got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. All right, the next one is Daniel.
This item requests board approval of a sole source contract with ITI Digital for their virtual visitor center enterprise package.
A motion by Commissioner Hill,
Second.
second by Commissioner Pate. Any questions?
Where's the funding source on this? Is from TDC, correct?
TDC.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
very good information. Very
And
good.
it is in the budget for advertising.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jeffrey.
Need board approval of change order number 2 for D2 chip seal bond.
Motion by Commissioner Hill,
Second.
second by Commissioner Pate. When Danielle's got her hand up.
The additional funding is coming from where?
It's additional days, right?
Well, this
And
is 60 additional days, and then it's a $24,000 overrun
And why?
because of mainly because the $24,000 overrun was on wet lime rock, having the wind roll it, water's coming out. And
That's not our problem, is it?
there was overrun on the road. I mean, it may come back to us, but right now, that's what it is.
What road is this on?
This-
multiples.
Well, this is
Mill.
on Mill West.
But they put down wet rock.
Well, they had the wind roll it to the side, and let it dry out, so they're talking
But
about.
we didn't
moisture.
put wet rock down.
Right.
They did. What do you think?
Well,
I think
I
it's their
talked-
problem.
I talked to him the other day and told him we can't be doing this. So I think we've got to, shut down, but.
For the future, but not.
But
for the
I don't know
Right.
where this money's gonna come from, because I think I've spent all mine.
We had, what else other than this have you used your bond money for?
Oh,
You have.
my bond money, yes, we've got, roads being paid. The bond
This
money.
project is the bond project. This is,
This one,
you had more than 1.321.
So you said he probably has his bond money.
I mean, if you've not done any more out of your bond than this, and that's
Well,
all I
of.
know of, then
I
you
don't-
got bond money.
I don't like giving it to them though, because that's their problem.
Well, I mean, and I can address it to them, tell them there will be no more overages on it.
I really
No,
think that
table
you need to consider holding them to their contract
Right.
because everybody is experiencing increased costs for materials, supplies,
That's probably right.
getting things here.
I withdraw my motion.
Okay,
Me too on the second.
what do y'all want to do?
Well, the Jabba gonna talk to him.
Okay.
You want to table it?
Nope. What?
We gotta do the days part, or are we almost out, or?
Yeah, we're almost out on days.
And what's the
You
excuse
gonna
on
award
that?
them the
There's a
additional
shortage
days?
of rock. I mean,
Oh, a good question.
You gonna award them the additional days or?
But pretty much got to.
The days ain't gonna cost you nothing right now.
I make the motion to, grant them the 60 days
Okay? And not the money.
and not the money.
I would agree with that.
Okay. Got a motion? Is there a second?
I
To grant the
So we're
60?
gonna have to hold them to it, or they'll be trying.
You seconded?
Make the money work.
Okay, got a motion by Pate, second by Hill. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Or one.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you voted. Okay. All right, Hunter.
So this is asking just for your approval of a Resilient Florida grant application letter of support.
Motion by Commissioner Hill,
Second.
second by Commissioner Donofro. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Community development. Ms. Wendy.
Thank you, Commissioner. Requesting board review and approval to remove text, retiring the title of manufactured housing from HHRP agreements. It's kind of become a burdensome, costly, and complex thing to do. And today I have online on Zoom Miss Melanie Rowan Mills, who is our HHRP administrator, and she can explain to you the process, what's in place, what's occurred, and what to expect. So Fred, Miss Melanie there.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for this couple minutes. I'll be quick. As you know, the HHRP agreement signed on February 1st says the title must be retired and proof shall be provided within 90 days of closing. I'm here to discuss how we have protected the county through our language on a variety of documents with these applicants. You've got just a few of those documents before you. I'm not going to read through them because I know you can read, but there are a variety of unintended consequences that have occurred because of the potential retiring of title on the documents. A title may not be retired first and foremost until a manufactured home is completed. Manufactured home completion right now is closing out and extends beyond that 90-day period of closing. Right now, home completions are taking approximately 5 to 6 months
from the actual closing date. Therefore, your current language cannot reasonably be met if you decide to even keep this language. HHRP funding would be needed to pay for title retirement. This is generally between $900 and $1,200 per family. This money could be removed from their award amount, and it would reduce the funding placed into their home. And with the rising cost of manufactured homes, this amount is significant. Additionally, the county would have to enter into a contract with a title company to retire title. At first, the dealer must receive the manufactured statement of origin before the title is retired. And again, this is done after the dealer receives final payment and the HHRP project is completed. A second closing would have to be coordinated by the county for the benefit of the title company and would require the second appearance of the applicants and the dealer. And then documentation would then be sent to the title company. And as of the current date, I've been told that this process is taking approximately 6 months, which would be after the second closing. Of course, what we want to do is protect you at all costs. And knowing the unintended consequences of the rule, you can see what we've done in our documents. However, with the rising cost of homes and money potentially removed from each applicant's award, it's up to you to determine if title retirement of manufactured homes is really necessary. There, we have language protecting the county throughout multiple documents, including the applicant's knowledge that the removal of the home is a breach, as well as the current requirement of permanent affixation of the manufactured home to the property, the removal of the wheels, tongue, and axle. See samples in your documentation B, D, E, and F. Now, for an applicant to remove a manufactured home, first they've got to figure out how in the heck to do so. They've got to obtain the funding to remove the home, coordinate it, and fund the ability to place it on another property. This alone will cost approximately $20,000. So when you go back and you look at the language that you put in the HHRP agreement, please note, we currently have language in the documents to protect the county, and keep in mind if an applicant moves the home from the property with or without title retirement, they would absolutely be in default of their mortgage requirement. So it's up to you to decide whether or not you'd like to remove the language itself, or if you think that in just a few of the documents I've given you, that language is sufficient enough. And again, these are just a sampling, but you can see we repeat ourselves over and over again about keeping the home permanently affixed to the property. And in each and every instance, we remove the wheels, tongue, and axle.
Thank you, ma'am. Michelle, have you had a chance to review this?
Oh, yeah.
And what's your recommendation?
So retiring the title is a requirement for certain federally backed mortgages like Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae. It's also the most risk averse option for the county to require. But from a standpoint of enforcement, if we ended up in foreclosure, the county is still protected, because even if you don't have them retire the title, you're still going to be listed as a lien holder on those titles.
Primary lien, right?
Yes. So, you do have that coverage. The mobile homes are described using the identification number in the legal description of the mortgage. So in addition to your the documents that are in your packet, you also have that, that kind of protects you. I think the reality is that it is the most risk averse option, but the market conditions and the actual process to go through title retirement is just not feasible for this particular program.
Okay. That's the pleasure of the board.
I'm comfortable from a legal standpoint with removing that language.
A motion by Commissioner Hill,
Second.
second by Commissioner Pate. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Wendy.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie.
The next item is a request for board approval for an exception to the maximum award amount for the SHIP program rehabilitation project at 3364 Sylvania Plantation Road.
Got a motion by Commissioner Hill. Second by Commissioner McKinney. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is board approval for a film and motion photography special use permit for the location at Blue Springs Park.
Motion by Commissioner Hill. Second by Commissioner Donofro. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Requesting board approval of an amendment to the Community Planning Technical Assistant Grant Agreement.
Offer a motion to approve it.
Okay, got a motion by Commissioner Donofro, second by Commissioner Hill. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Next one is yours also.
Yes, sir. Requesting board approval to set a public hearing for adoption of the Jackson County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 18, Building for 9:15 a.m. on July 12th.
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Pate, second by Commissioner McKinney. And you and I have to get together before because I have marked that thing up pretty good.
Yes, sir.
All those in favor, raise your right hand.
So she's fixing to advertise for a public hearing. That we would
Well,
adopt that, and if you're gonna make changes to it, we're gonna have to change it again.
well, we need to address it before it goes to public hearing.
Right.
We'll make a motion based on that.
Okay, I did not bring that with me. I actually met with Ms. Wilanne about this, and there are some things that are redundant, and I don't think we need in there.
You can't make changes that we make all the time.
Can we
So we need to do.
table this?
Well, so the problem is that if we advertise it and then we make any
Changes.
substantive changes, then we have to go back and advertise.
Fine, don't
Again.
advertise it then.
Well, then, withdraw your motion and your, or change it to a different date.
Table it.
Oh, we're supposed to.
No, we gotta withdraw. a motion.
Yeah, well, you gotta make a motion to rescind it.
Make a motion to rescind the.
We never voted.
Public
We
hearing,
never
setting
did
the
it.
public
We
hearing.
never voted
He
on it.
said you did.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we didn't.
I thought I raised my hand first. And then I
No.
don't know.
It was the same time. She raised her hand the same time y'all voted.
All right, we're going to, if we did, we're rescinding it, and we're going to,
Need a second on your
Take-
Pate,
rescind.
rescind, McKinney, rescind, rescind.
Second.
motion and a second. Motion by Pate, and a second by McKinney. to rescind it. All right, got it? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries
Got
5-0. Now,
Now,
we're
walk
going to have
away.
to table it until we get a chance to review it.
For the next meeting. not
It
July.
was
You already
sent to all the commissioners back in May for review.
He
So-
reviewed.
And I reviewed it, and I waited and
Yes,
waited
sir.
and never heard from you.
No, I waited to hear from you.
Let's
So
just
do
put
you
it
want
this way, I got
another
it marked up. If
discussion?
you want me to, want to
Yes,
see what I
sir.
got marked, that's fine.
Sure,
If Not,
I
I'm
do.
gonna vote against it.
Yes, sir.
All right, so-
Do you want to set
The
another
12th.
meeting?
I will meet with you Monday.
Oh,
Okay.
Give me
This
a second.
item will come back on the 12th for y'all to decide when. that-
Right.
Okay.
All right, moving on.
Thank you. Request to set a public hearing for a petition of road abandonment for a portion of the county right of way on Gray Lane in unincorporated Jackson County for 9:15 a.m. on July 12th.
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Hill,
Second.
second by Commissioner Pate. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Next one's yours also.
Yes, sir. I think that's the last one. Request board approval to set a public hearing at 9:15 a.m. on July 12th for modification to a development agreement for a wireless telecommunication tower for Verizon Wireless.
All they're doing is changing the name, right?
Yes, to Article
All
3.
right, motion by Commissioner Pate, second by Commissioner Hill. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, roundtable. Where's the sheriff? He's hiding.
Right.
We're not hot up here right now.
It is cool up there.
Close that door.
Sheriff, you have anything you want to share with us?
All is well, except the price of fuel. Next
Going
month-
down.
Yeah.
Not fast enough.
Next month, we will probably ask for a spot on the agenda to address our fuel. Just in last month alone, for the month of May, our fuel cost was 20 grand over the budgeted amount. And it's not in relation to the use, it's just a simple price. So we tried to stretch it as far as we could. We get to a point now that we're gonna have to only ask for help.
Sheriff, what about the call volume? Have the call volume increased?
It's about the same. We actually have, because we're fully staffed, more deputies out, but I believe it or not, the usage didn't really go up because deputies aren't going from Compass Lake to Graceville to answer a call now. They're able to stay in their zone. So the fuel, we look back over the past year and the amount of fuel we've used has not really varied that much. It's just simple $2 a gallon.
The value of fuel is going up
So,
dramatically.
but that's pretty much all we got, and it's hot.
It is warm weather,
Other than that, it's all is good.
especially wearing that vest. Is that all you got?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We'll see you the next time. Michelle,
Nothing for me?
Ms. Wilanne?
Yes, sir. Three things. The Florida Association of Counties Conference is next week for those of you that are signed up to go. We will have some arrangements and paperwork and your hotel registration and all of that ready. Hopefully on Monday. I didn't actually check with Dylan on that, but we'll have it ready for y'all to pick up before you leave.
No, we need it before Monday.
When are you going?
I'm leaving town Monday.
Oh, okay. Well, we can have it Friday. It starts Tuesday
How
night.
long have we known about this?
We don't have a hotel for you Monday night, so hope you got
I have
one.
other arrangements.
All right, so we can have your paperwork by Friday. That's no problem.
All right.
And then we have something that came up or to my attention yesterday is there is a special appropriations opportunity that was put in the budget. So it's $175 million that was put in the budget. And so just like we do on the front end, when we put in a legislative appropriation request, it's just like that, except it's on the back end. And so we have 1 week, to get these forms into Alan. And so we talked yesterday and he recommended, so the board originally out of this budget, priorities were the drainage project, which we got, the ag center, which was vetoed, so we cannot put in for that, and the fire trucks, which we could put in for because it never made it in the budget. So those forms are already ready to go, and Representative Drake already agreed to support that. So his thought was that would be a good strategy because we already have the support of Drake. We already have the forms ready to go. And it's an appropriate thing to put in, but I would like you all to bless that
Just
before
for
we
one
do.
fire truck, right?
I think it was for 2. It was $1 million and it would
Yeah.
replace the other 2.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Hill,
Second,
second by Commissioner Pate. Any
is
questions?
there a chance to add something there, or do you think that, what did he say on our limit of money?
Well, he recommended not going over $1 million and he recommended not submitting more than one thing.
The drainage projects, did that include drainage work on Watson?
Well, we're actually going to have, is Hunter in here?
No,
We are still working. I don't think we have had a meeting with the state yet to find out what the criteria is exactly or how that was worded, but I'm hoping to have some info on that soon on the drainage project.
anything else?
Yes, one other thing is we've had a couple,
No, we didn't.
oh, I'm sorry.
All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
So we've had a couple of inquiries recently in the Endeavor area for people that own property around there, wanting to know if we are interested in selling, just to expand their own property and that kind of thing. And so I'm asking for the board to consider setting a policy for now that we will not be selling except for economic development or housing development, some kind of intentional development by this board. until we get to the point of, maybe there is a acre here, an acre there that once something's developed, makes sense to sell. But that way, when staff is contacted, we have a direction from the board on what to say.
Can I get a
I'll
motion?
make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Pate, second by Commissioner Donofro. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
That's all I have.
Commissioner Donofro?
Yes, and I should have brought this up when we were talking about striping, but South Street, where it intersects into 276, that striping, the turn lanes there really need some attention. I've had several people complain about not being able to tell whether they're in the turn lane or turn left or turn right.
That's what, the other day whenever you contacted me
Yeah.
on the road, Penn Avenue, it all looked good.
Penn Avenue
And the
looks
only
good.
thing I saw where it really needs tightened up is the section between where you turn to go into the sheriff's department and Penn Avenue.
That's right. That's exactly
Just
right.
that one little small section.
And
Anything else?
just so the board knows, I will be out of the country October the 16th through 10 days.
Okay.
It will be a surprise.
Good luck.
Appreciate it.
Leave the checkbook.
Commissioner Hill?
On Commissioner Donofro's lot, which used to be my district, but now it's his. On South Boulevard, when you get to, if you're coming off McCoy's Road, that first intersection, there's some, we need to patch the road there.
Asphalt stuff.
Yes. I've seen
Where's
that
that?
today. What's that road?
It's South Street.
Yeah, but I mean the intersection
Oh,
there.
shoot, this one comes out Edenfield.
Because when you turn off,
It's a stop.
yes, and it's,
Dead end.
no, it,
I don't know what that is.
but it's on South Boulevard there. It's,
South Street.
South Street.
Okay.
Anything else?
So what is-
Commissioner Hill?
Yeah, I just have one thing.
I just tell him, Jeffrey.
I just want to, I talked to the fire chief of Dellwood. There's a surplus truck. I've talked to Jabbo, no problems with the truck for Dellwood. Dellwood needs that used semi that come from Compass Lake to replace their tanker engine, and there was no conflict, correct, with it on. I don't currently have it used. Yeah, but they need it for a tanker, so it's a surplus truck. I only know it's an 80s model, isn't it?
They're looking for the engine.
Yeah, they just need the engine. Just
What are they gonna do with it?
they're making a tanker truck. out of it.
After the chassis?
They just need the chassis.
Now, wait a minute. They need the
they gonna
truck,
take the whole
the
thing,
engine and the
He
chassis.
just mentioned the engine to me. I don't know, Red, you might.
not the back part, not the.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I don't know, but, he said he went out there on the yard the other day and drove it, Jabbo,
Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah, you might.
He just asked me,
better
if do the semi, if
Why
he
do
did
you
the back
take-
part of this time, but he just asked for the semi.
I'll be making a motion.
Yeah, make a motion. Let him have the semi. If you don't want another one, we'll do something else with it.
Okay. Got a motion by Commissioner Hill to give the
Yeah,
the excess semi that we have to Dellwood Fire Department.
I'll second for discussion.
Second by Commissioner Pate, and Danielle's got.
First, you gotta declare it surplus.
Oh, I'm
You haven't
sorry.
done that yet.
Right.
Then you can give it to somebody.
All right,
So I need to declare that first and then do my other one. All right, I declare the surplus.
that surplus
Yeah,
semi that we have, you want to
I do.
donate to Dellwood Fire Department.
I'll second that.
All right.
Jeffrey, is that good with you?
It's still with me. I mean, I really don't have a use for it.
Okay,
I
just
mean,
want to make sure again.
I looked at kind of all that stacks up. I mean, I really can't.
All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand.
Well, now we need to
Motion
revote
carries
on
5-0.
Make
That's
it
right.
surplus.
I wrote it all as
We
one,
surplus.
declaring it surplus and giving it to Dellwood.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Mr. Pate?
Okay, I was presented this plaque with our greatest appreciation presented to the Jackson County Board of County Commissioners in recognition of your support for Emancipation Day, the Emancipation Day Festival, and proclaiming May 20th as Emancipation Day in Jackson County, Florida. Thank you for your friends. Thank you from your friends at the Emancipation Day Festival of Northwest Florida. So I happened to be there and they presented this with me, so I'm bringing it to the board.
Thank you.
One other thing. In our contracts for road paving, We got in there that, you know, we give them so many days to complete these projects. And we have in there that there is damage, liquidated damages if they do not complete it by the certain day, but we have not enforced it in a long time. Well, I want to make a motion that we enforce our contracts and hold these contractors to the days.
Commissioner Pate, we have enforced it.
No,
I
we
did on
hadn't.
Old Spanish Trail.
No,
No,
Only
on-
when it
on
has
all.
been
Second,
a bill
second.
from the CEI to,
Yeah.
Okay.
and you've said, okay, we want to hold back from you to pay
I
them.
want to add to it too. Not only existing ones now, we can't hardly do that, but from this day on the, you know, new contracts, we need to,
Over feet to the fire.
yes.
All right, got a motion by Commissioner Pate, second by Commissioner Hill to enforce liquidated damages on road paving contracts. Any question, future road
Yeah,
paving?
I would just add, and I'll defer to Michelle, but I've always understood liquidated damages are not really to be used as a penalty. But unless there are some actual costs incurred by the county as a result of the other.
Well, you will definitely have CEI.
they're not a penalty. You're right. Liquidated damages are, they are, you would hold those back from your retainage or your final payment, but liquidated damages are basically the party's kind of best guess of what actual damages would be if the contract conditions aren't met. And so it's just, it's a way to try to avoid litigation and a determination of what those actual damages would be. So they're not a penalty. It's just a consequence for not meeting the contract conditions.
Okay.
Now, historically, this board hasn't enforced liquidated damages because they've been perceived as sort of a penalty, but under the law, they're not a penalty.
Well, DOT holds them to it.
They
And
do.
we have it in our contract and we need to hold them to it from this
All right.
day forward.
Any more questions?
But if you do it, you've got to do it across the board.
That's why I'm
Right.
saying
You
from
can't
this
do
day
it
forward.
One and not do it to the other.
Documentation, you gotta
Yes.
give them rain days. Someone has to be
Yeah.
responsible
Yes.
for keeping up with the paperwork.
We
So
need
on-
CEI does
On the
that.
other side of that, if you enforce your liquidated damages and the contractors, when the contractors know that you're going to enforce your liquidated damages, that brings an incentive for them to come to you and say, we're going to need extra time for this, this, and this. And that's what you want. You want the contractors to be forthcoming and say, we're not going to meet this deadline because of this. So we need to ask for additional time. Otherwise, then
We don't
they should
want to
expect
drag it
liquidated
around.
damages.
Saying ask for additional time after the contract's already been let.
through a change
So
order.
it would happen.
We don't want them to wait for the last 30 days and
Yep.
say, oh my God, we gotta get this done.
Yes.
And that's what's happening.
That's what's happening.
Exactly.
All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Do you have anything else?
No, sir.
Commissioner McKinnie.
Mr. Register. Brush cutting. How are we with the brush cutters?
Well, we got 3 new brush cutters in. Max has already been up here to fix one and they come to do the other 2 tomorrow.
Yeah.
They haven't reset the hydraulic pump pressure up on them because I don't know if it's maybe a safety issue from the factory. The hydraulic pump pressure was low. And so it bogged it down, shut the machine off. They had to pump a tree. So they've already done one. It worked. Everything was good. I've got one of the old ones that's been air conditioned in, waiting on the hydraulic pump on another one. And right now, just in the report, I'm running 2. So my ultimate goal is to run 2 in every district.
Okay, I'm glad to see them in my district because I got roads that being reduced down to 6 trails, you know.
Right.
It's getting away from us.
Yes.
When are you gonna start, sidebar, when are you gonna start the spraying stuff? You know, y'all got it side by side, is that implemented?
That's just to get rolling in the next week or so.
Spray
Okay.
away?
And they're supposed to contact me too about inmates. And so hopefully with that, I can send them around with bridge man, clean up behind guardrails and, you know, bridges and stuff like that. She had called and told me she was going on vacation and all that. Essentially, it was supposed to start this month.
Okay,
I want to thank you also for the safety concern on Caney Head and Mountain Hill. Thank you for taking care of that.
anything else? Clay,
No, sir.
Danielle,
I have one item.
I have received an invoice from the city of Mariana for half of the study that we had done for the utilities. They actually bid it out and got quotes, went into the contract. The total amount was $18,450, and our part is $9,225.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Donofro. I don't know what we're buying.
Yeah.
You're paying for the study that you authorized back in September of 21 for us to look at the utility systems and prepare a report, which is available for you.
I
to look
thought
at.
the city was paying for
Half
that.
and half. It was, you agreed to $20,000, split half. So we did it for less than that.
Pony up.
When will you said
It is
it's
available. Wilanne has it.
How is it available?
I can email it to you or print it out.
All right.
So who was the second? Sorry. I got
Hold on.
the tag right there.
We got it.
You got it? All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. 5-0.
It's fine.
I
All
want
right, anything else?
That's all I had. Sir.
Okay. Week before last, we had an incident that occurred out in Indian Springs. There was an earthen dam out there that's been there for many years. And we have known about it being partially compromised. Well, it blew out. And thank God, the water did not blow out Seminole Drive, and it did not make it to the mill pond directly. But Mr. Cecil called me up and told me that near his place, there was some coffee-looking water coming out up in the mill pond. So obviously, it's going into the ground in a cavity and then working its way out to the mill pond. I would like to do a community service project and provide the dirt to fill that dam in. But Jabo has to approve what they're going to do before they, I don't want to haul a grain of sand out there if they're not going to do something correctly. So
What do you need from us? A motion to do the?
I need
project
a motion from somebody to approve doing community service to haul some dirt and dump it.
Project. And don't you need some kind of, you need like an easement.
Easement.
Yeah, so
No, wait a minute. You don't need an easement because you're not getting off the road.
Is the material going off of our right of way?
is it our road?
The road is, but not the thing.
It's not the road. We're supplying the dirt that somebody's gonna pick up and put in the hole.
How's it getting to the side?
They're going to use an end loader, is what they told me. Trucks can't back out there. Okay?
Do we need
A
permission
rubber
to use
tire.
public dirt to go on that? We need to consider that.
So I looked at that, all of that is private property. And that was my concern, that even if you found that it was an appropriate expenditure of public money, because it ends up affecting, a public
It
road.
affects the mill pond, affects the community, the value of the property.
I couldn't see any way for you to actually do anything with it without accessing private property. You're still gonna need some kind of construction easement.
No, we're not going, my understanding is they just want us to dump the dirt
On the right of way.
on the right of way at the cul-de-sac, right, Jabo? That's what they told me.
Who's they?
That's what one of the guys was saying the other day, but if you dump it, you can't leave it there overnight. And if they're gonna be using a wheel loader, it's gonna take a while, it's gonna take time with everything.
I know.
I don't know exactly how much.
Whose property is the dam on?
It's private
It's
property.
multiple properties.
Multiple?
There's two, Glenn Hobbs and Mr. Grant. Sherry.
I feel like you could probably get an easement, and you can do minimal damage, just turn on the road and back straight down to it, not get down there and try to twist and turn and all that. Just for time and money, it seems most people will need to get an easement.
Well, we can get an easement if that.
If that resolves your question that you have, why not? How long would it take? You spill some ink on a piece of paper and get the easement.
It's not a temporary easement. You're putting
But I guess-
stuff on that
but I guess-
property
But I guess
be
at
an
some
easement.
point, I guess at some point, that's kind of what we need to do. 'Cause somebody's got to have a set of plans and all, or
what they gonna do to fix this, because it's like I told, Mr. Grantham out there the other day, I spent my whole career trying to push water away, not retain it. And if we just put dirt in there and them springs start filling it up, it's gonna blow out again. So something's got to be done, and it's got to be right, or either we wasted dirt and time.
Well, that's
or we
why
haven't done them.
we don't want to do it until they get some plans drawn that you approve.
But I mean, if
Or
you don't
look
approve
at
it,
it.
I don't mind hauling the whatever, dirt or whatever they need, but.
Yeah, but only after they have something that's gonna actually work or some
Right.
strategic plan, right?
I mean, it's like I told them the other day, you might can put 10 foot of dirt, make the water level come up 10 foot. But I had no idea how deep that place was till I went and looked at it. I thought it was just a shallow water pond. It's deep.
30 feet.
And the drop off on the back side of it is, I don't know, y'all live out there, how deep is it, 75 foot?
Brent, did you do some work on it? Come up from. Well, I know he looked, either him or David one looked at it.
Well, so originally when discussing with Rhett before it actually breached and failed, went out there, I guess that was sometime last year, right, Rhett? And yeah, essentially, if you're gonna repair this area, there was an old outfall structure that served the pond. So that's gonna need to be looked at and rebuilt and reconfigured. So there's a permitting issue with Water Management District. I think they were originally involved as part of the complaint. And then to the point there, I mean, going out there, I guess it was last Friday after it had failed. Yeah, that's a significant hole. I mean, you got a 35+ foot drop there. There's a lot of sediment that's washed down to that pond area that's along Seminole Drive as well. So the clearing and the operations there is pretty significant for that area.
What's your recommendation?
Well, I mean, for that area, you certainly would be rebuilding it, but the one thing that we would need to look at would be reconfiguring that outfall structure, because like I was saying, is it's going to blow out again. I mean, you got to have some sort of outlet for that pond that's there.
They just had a flume on top, and I don't think they had, when I looked at it, there was nothing on the back.
From what I
They
can
had a
tell,
pipe, but it was gone.
from what I could tell, it used to be a concrete ditch that ran through the berm to the back. It looked like there was a little bit of a concrete weir where it would pop over, but generally it would drop down into I think it was about an 18-inch pipe that would run down to the bottom of the hill. And I don't know if it was during Hurricane Michael, or I think really when we started seeing it was after Sally with all that rainfall, that once it overtopped the rear of the berm, it started head eroding backwards, and then eventually just blew out the dam that's there.
We're not actually taking ownership of the design or the
No,
solution.
we have nothing to do with
We're
it.
just gonna provide some.
Provide some dirt, that's all I want to do. Help them out.
Who's the principal kind of oversee this out there? Who's the landowner, homeowners? We're from there. Okay, good. Right. So is there someone that we can say they can orchestrate everything else and just say, hey, we need dirt now? And we can approve the dirt when they get all that other stuff done on private side.
Yeah, we can postpone it until,
Oh, I ain't saying postpone. We can make a motion tonight. I'm just saying that.
that's the way I would do it, is we would coordinate. Mr. Garcia lives out there on the pond. And
We're working on getting this.
Okay.
there he is, right there. You got the hat on and I couldn't see. Yeah.
I just don't want us to be involved in determining the solution.
Yeah.
No,
Because once we
we're
get
not
that,
going
we
to
take
have any
ownership of it.
ownership. All we're doing is a public service project.
Just provide dirt.
We can,
If we need to get an easement for hauling it down there, I was told they were gonna dump it, which would be fine, but
I'm pretty sure we can get one from either Franklin or Miss Hall.
yeah, well, just, if it's that easy to get, just get one that covers us either way. And then that way,
we'll worry about the easement when we get the design. It looks like it would work.
So the water went over it. Where did it go in the caves or caverns or whatever?
It went into, there's a pond, another retention pond, a natural pond. So all the water went into there. It barely made it up to the drainage pipes that Anderson Columbia installed. When it blew out some of those drive. Just made it up to that. And now Mr. Powell told me that there was some seeping out and coming out into the mill pond. So I don't know when they're gonna get their act together. George, you have any idea what y'all gonna do or when?
Well, there's multiple people around the pond, so
But
right now they're waiting on to hear back from the bids.
So you just gonna wait till you hear something then? Or do you want to,
I would prefer we just approve
we can, I mean, I know,
approve the public service project,
Yeah, I'm-
supplying the dirt. Got a motion by Commissioner Hill. Second by Commissioner Pate to supply the dirt, to fix the hole. And
Whatever it takes, we don't have an
No,
estimate.
I
to be
We're
determined.
talking 100 loads, 20 loads.
it'll be more than 20 and probably around 100. It could be up to, I don't know. I'm not an engineer.
Well, I would,
I'd like to know a little bit more specifics about, at least an estimate, how many loads, and then where they're gonna put the dirt. And
Come up, George.
Way I understand from one of the,
Oh, George.
He
George
said,
Garcia.
he said what they would do is come from the backside, build it up a certain amount, and then put in the, of course, you gotta build the front back up too. But on the backside, they'll build it up, put the spillway back in there with a drainage pipe, bigger drainage pipe. Then probably put some rocks down at the bottom to keep it from washing back out.
Mhm.
That's what happened last time. I believe it was probably Mr. Robinson, Sally that really did most of the damage. We think so. Yeah, with the influx of water. We're gonna fix it right, we appreciate the dirt. Yes, that's our intention. And a friend of mine says probably the biggest problem was the trees that were growing on top of it. That's always a problem, because you got root systems that break through the
Right.
food barrier, and the water gets in there and starts washing stuff away. But during Sally, it too much water, and then, of course,
Started
backwashed.
cavitating.
Part of the spillway collapsed, and then a couple of weeks ago, that's when that fish is
It all went away. Yes, sir.
So this is coming out of your district,
It's come out of my district in the dirt pit.
so you don't.
It's in my district.
Right, look,
It's all county dirt.
I know, but I'm wondering if we were to, wait and see what it's gonna take. I mean, I support it. I support it. Do I now?
I would do like a not to exceed, we could be talking 300-400 loads plus.
Ooh, well, if we have a wheelbarrow, you're probably right.
well, just, I mean, who can get us, I guess my question is, who can make that determination? I mean, someone needs to say it's 50 to 75 loads, 75 to 300. I mean, someone is gonna block that down, because if not, we don't haul a pit out there.
I guess it'd be in the estimates of the contractors and the
Yeah.
homeowners.
Right. So y'all got it.
What we get them to do is give us an estimate of how many truck loads it would take.
Yeah, that.
Do that and get back to me.
That'd be good.
I want to
Where
withdraw
you
my
want us to go?
second.
All
We
right.
support the project.
Yeah,
It's not that
100%.
we
We just need to
don't,
get it.
but we need to know. Sure we get, access to property of Mr. Grantham or Ms. Hobbs. I know Mr. Grantham is more than willing to help out.
and then where we're gonna dump it, we'll get an easement.
All right, we'll get some information and get back to me. All right, thank you. There was $1.5 million for drainage ditch that we got approved for. Ms. Wilanne and I are fighting. I want some of that money. She says no. But we got to get find out exactly what that project entails. And it's not all going to your district either.
$1.5 million.
I ain't say
1, 2,
nothing.
3,
Once
4,
I get
5.
mine, you're fine.
There at Thursday night, I think it was, I went to Evangel. They had a presentation for by a group called the New Orleans Mission. And Charlie Johnson bought the middle school out here, less the gym and everything. And the New Orleans Mission is a group that takes in people with drug addiction, alcohol addiction problems, and they basically rehabilitate them. In fact, Mr. Donnie was there. Their project out here is going to be called Chrome, and they are going to be opening up. I got the feeling that it was going to be happening. He did say before the end of the year, didn't he, Donnie? So just to let y'all know that we may be seeing some activity out at the middle school. It's very religious based. It didn't sound like there was a lot of the old drug rehab stuff that you hear all the time, and you know, where they go methadone and then they try to draw them all. These people don't do it that way. They said if people need the place to live, if they didn't have something here, they were opening one in Crestview, or they'd haul them to New Orleans and give them 21 days there. So just kind of a heads up as to that coming to the neighborhood. Another thing I've got, there was an incident that occurred out at Blue Springs about a week and a half ago. There was some allegations made about some activities, and it got me to thinking that we need to be paying attention to what's going on out there from a security perspective, in view of the things that we have seen happen here in this country with mass shootings and that type of stuff. I've asked the staff and Rhett to develop basically a security response that we can implement out there with a funding source, so that we will have some security at the spring when it's open, or if not all the time, certainly peak hours. One of the things, Rhett, that occurred to me, we have how many deputies out at the spring at Bear?
That's a 3-man detail.
Could we take one of those deputies and put at Blue Springs? Because I'm more concerned about children than I'm beer cans.
Well, there's children on the river too. Don't think.
Well, I with more people being concentrated at Blue Springs, I think we would be remiss if we didn't do something. So I would recommend you look very closely at that and implement that this weekend if you can. And then come up with a plan to deal with it on a permanent basis and report back to us. Can you have it ready by the next meeting? Okay, we'll look to hear from you.
Where's the 3 men at?
Magnolia, Spring Creek, Magnolia and Turner.
All
Right.
three, okay.
Pull one of them and put it at Spring.
Sheriff
You
needs
need
to
to
speak
talk
up.
to
I
the
think they
sheriff
have
about
problems
that.
with people
Well, I
down
don't
at
mind
the
talking
end
to the
being
sheriff
drunk.
about it, but we pay the bill. And we're
So
paying an
I-
off-duty deputy. And I don't see any reason why we can't pull him from one place and put him where we feel that is more important. And I'll vote all day long that the children are more important than the few that's gonna be passing down the creek and throwing out a beer can. Wes, what do you think?
I think you have to add it. I think you're taking security from one place. There's many times where we'll have an incident at one location, you've got to pull a deputy to go help that deputy. You've got the different places, they're there for a reason on that particular area. We've already heard earlier today where we've got a lot of people that are drinking, they're going down that area, fights break out. We have people all the time that they lose their buddy drunk. We've got resources right there, so now we've kind of created an issue to where our response has changed significantly. You know, I'm with you. You need security there. We need security everywhere. That's reality. But look.
I really see no reason why we can't, for a weekend or two, rotate one of them away to the spring.
That's something you're gonna have to look at, Sheriff.
And he's gone.
You have to step out, but you know, it's just grabbing, taking a deputy, that detail's there for a reason. So kind of look at it.
And I was gonna say, we only do that on the weekend. You're open 7 days a week at Blue Springs.
That's
So
right.
Even that ain't gonna help, if you're not gonna.
That's right. I'm keenly aware of all of it. So moving it, I think there are ways to work around the problem. And
Have we looked at any security cameras out there? I mean, I know they're not a huge deterrent, but it helps document stuff, because I understand some of the incidents in the past that you're referencing to. Is there, I mean, cameras are not that expensive now. I'm not telling you about.
We have cameras out there now.
On the property itself or inside the building? or both?
Good quality.
Got
Yeah, good
the
quality.
Entry and exit, both parking lots, and all around the building and inside.
Are they viewable from a remote location, Wi-Fi, so y'all can see it?
That's coming.
Okay, all right, very good.
all right.
You got
I think we all,
We'll report back.
Okay,
I think we all.
Well,
agree
I
we
am-
need something.
Well, some of the
I'll make you
incidents-
put it on the record what I'm in favor of. If something happens, it's on the record.
No, some of the incidents you're talking about happen actually after hours, correct?
No.
Oh,
I was talking about the break-in. You're talking about the other incident.
You're right. All right. Yes, ma'am.
It's 14,999, and we actually updated the contract that'll be in the official record. That's why I said it verbally, because it wasn't in your packet. The
Okay.
14,999.
Not to
wasn't.
exceed 14.
Right.
Okay. Anyone else have anything they want to bring before the board before we